Not every horror game is worth your time. These are the ones that truly scare you, the kind that get under your skin and stick with you long after you stop playing. Here are the 18 best horror games that are absolutely worth playing. The Beast Inside is one of those underrated horror games a lot of people missed. It blends psychological horror with a mystery thriller. You play as Adam, a cryptanalyst hiding in a remote forest during the Cold War. While settling into his new home, he discovers a 19th century diary that slowly pulls him into a dark past filled with paranoia and violence. Gameplay mixes exploration, puzzle solving, and light survival elements. You decode encrypted messages, uncover hidden passages, and solve environmental puzzles to move forward. When danger appears, it's often smarter to hide or run rather than fight. The story shifts between two timelines, connecting Adam's present-day investigation with Nicholas's disturbing experiences in the past. As both narratives unfold, the isolation and hidden secrets build tension, and there's a constant feeling that something isn't right.
Tommy, I have to finish it.
You have no idea what you're walking into.
What are you doing?
You don't know how large that group is, how armed.
I don't care. You can't stop this.
The Last of Us Part 2 feels different from most story-driven games because it doesn't treat its journey as a simple good versus evil story. The plot follows Ellie as she travels across a ruined America driven by grief and revenge, but the narrative shifts perspective in ways that make you question every action. Gameplay feels more grounded and tense than before. Enemies talk to each other, react when their friends are taken down, and actively try to flank you, making fights feel unpredictable. Stealth, crafting, and navigating detailed environments give you different ways to survive, but limited ammo and breakable melee weapons force you to think carefully. Developed by Naughty Dog, the game also adds strong accessibility options and detailed animations, like crawling under vehicles or using ropes to reach higher areas, making movement feel more realistic. Routine is a sci-fi horror game built around isolation and survival in space. It takes place inside an abandoned base on the moon, where something clearly went wrong. If you've played Alien Isolation, you'll recognize that same feeling of tension and being hunted. Survival is all about vulnerability. Resources are limited, and your multi-tool device is used for scanning, interacting with systems, and briefly defending yourself if needed. Most of the time, running, hiding, and paying attention to your surroundings is smarter than trying to fight. The story is told through audio logs, computer terminals, and environmental details instead of direct narration. As you go deeper into the silent station, you slowly piece together what happened to the crew and why the base suddenly went dark. Alan Wake 2 is a horror game you really shouldn't skip, because it mixes psychological horror with a strong detective story. The plot follows FBI agent Saga Anderson as she investigates ritual murders in a small town, while writer Alan Wake tries to escape the nightmare world he's been trapped in for years. Gameplay sticks close to survival horror. You explore dark forests, empty buildings, and quiet streets while managing limited ammo and flashlight batteries. The flashlight isn't just for seeing in the dark, it's a key tool. You have to burn away the darkness around enemies before you can hurt them, which means you can't just rush into every fight. The game was made by Remedy Entertainment, a studio known for story-driven games and cinematic presentation. Using their Northlight engine, they blend live-action footage and psychological tension in a way that feels seamless.
Did you write these pages, Mr. Wake?
I'm trying to remember it.
You're the killer, the cold bleeding.
No! You got the wrong man! It's my fault! He got out!
Wake has a double. Where is he now?
I don't want to be in the story, just write me out of the story!
They thought they could control me. Now, I will tear them apart. One by one.
Dying Light the Beast brings back Kyle Crane, the original hero from Dying Light 1, but he's not the same guy anymore. After years of captivity and brutal experiments, he escapes carrying a mix of human and infected DNA. Now he's out for revenge, while also trying to control the monster growing inside him. Gameplay keeps the first-person survival style the series is known for, along with smooth, fast parkour. You'll run across rooftops, craft weapons, and fight using both melee and firearms. During the day, things are tense but manageable. At night, the infected get faster and more aggressive. Crane can also trigger Beast Mode, giving him brutal melee power and enhanced strength when things get desperate. Combat is all about mobility, timing, and managing your resources. You can't just fire endlessly and hope for the best. You have to think. If you're into horror shooters and somehow skipped The Evil Within 2, you missed one of the strongest entries in the genre. The game follows Sebastian Castellanos, a worn-down detective who finds out his daughter Lily might still be alive inside a simulated world known as STEM. Combat is built around survival and smart resource management. Ammo is limited, crafting materials matter, and enemies can swarm you fast if you're careless. Stealth kills, traps, and weapon upgrades aren't just extras, they're key to staying alive and controlling fights instead of just panicking and shooting. Even with strong fan support, a direct sequel hasn't happened. The series creator Shinji Mikami eventually left Tango Gameworks, and later Microsoft shut the studio down during a broader restructuring focused on bigger priority franchises.
Enough art school bullshit! Where is she?
We have the same goal, Sebastian. We can help each other. Join me.
Keep shooting until they're dead or we run out of ammo.
Once I have the power of the core, you will be truly free.
Are you all right?
Why wouldn't I be all right?
Cronos the New Dawn mixes horror and sci-fi in a way that instantly reminds you of Dead Space. Set in a ruined future shaped by a massive catastrophe, the game drops you into a cold, hostile world where strange anomalies and mutated creatures have replaced anything that once felt human. Combat is built around survival and smart resource management. Ammo is limited, enemies are aggressive, and positioning really matters. There's also a dangerous mechanic where fallen enemies can merge with other bodies if you don't burn them, coming back as something stronger and harder to kill. That means every fight has consequences. The story follows a traveler sent back through time to find people who didn't survive the disaster. Each mission uncovers pieces of what went wrong, slowly connecting personal tragedies to a much larger collapse that reshaped the world.
The rotation must go on. I need to do my part. The steelworks. The outbreak. His mission. My awakening. I need to make sense.
Madison is the kind of horror game that makes you uneasy from the very first minute. You wake up trapped inside a dark house with blood on your hands, and it quickly becomes clear that some kind of demonic force is pushing you to finish a ritual that started decades ago. Your main tool is an old instant camera, and its flash does more than just light up dark areas. It reveals hidden clues, can temporarily fend off hostile spirits, and is essential for solving puzzles. As you explore, rooms and corridors can change unexpectedly, making progress feel uncertain and keeping you on edge instead of relying on combat. What really makes Madison so disturbing is its sound design and psychological pressure. Long stretches of silence, faint noises in the distance, and small environmental changes build tension naturally.
The attic.
Our homecoming will be truly divine.
There's still a way out for us. But we don't have much time.
Dead Space Remake brings one of the most iconic sci-fi horror games back with modern visuals and immersive atmosphere. You play as Isaac Clarke, an engineer sent to repair a massive mining ship in deep space, only to find the crew slaughtered and something deadly still moving through the corridors. One of the biggest improvements is how the ship now feels like a real connected location. A security clearance system lets you unlock previously sealed areas, giving you reasons to revisit sections for upgrades and supplies, while knowing danger could still be waiting. Combat feels more intense thanks to the peeling system, which shows layers of flesh tearing away as you strategically dismember enemies. The remake also adds an intensity director that can trigger random sounds, surprise enemy encounters, and environmental changes, so even familiar hallways never feel completely safe. Metro Exodus is different from most post-apocalyptic shooters because it takes you beyond the underground tunnels and into a wide, ruined world across Russia. You follow Artyom and his crew aboard the train Aurora, searching for a new home while traveling through regions shaped by nuclear fallout. Survival mechanics shape every choice. Your gas mask filters run out over time, weapons get dirty and need maintenance, and crafting is key for ammo, medkits, and gear. Resources are limited, so stealth and patience often work better than charging in. Small moral decisions throughout the journey can also affect how the story ends, giving your actions real weight. What really makes the game work is how reactive the world feels. The day and night cycle changes how enemies behave. Some areas are safer in daylight, while others become more dangerous after dark. Until Dawn stands out from other horror games because it plays more like an interactive movie than a traditional survival experience. The story follows a group of friends returning to a remote mountain lodge 1 year after a tragic event, only to find themselves trapped in a night filled with terror, secrets, and deadly choices. Gameplay focuses on exploration, dialogue choices, and quick-time events during chase and danger sequences. Staying calm and making the right input at the right moment can mean the difference between life and death for a character. What makes it different is the butterfly effect system. Every decision, even small ones, can change relationships, events, and who survives until morning. The game was built with performance capture and cinematic presentation, making characters feel realistic and emotionally grounded.
Now what gives you the right to play God? Why are you doing this?
Maybe you don't like them as much as you pretend to.
I don't know! Don't think you
Stop it! If we can't get along for 10 minutes, then maybe we need a little bit of a break, right?
Total Chaos feels different from a lot of horror games because it mixes psychological dread with tough survival mechanics inside a decaying island town called Fort Oasis. You arrive after a storm leaves you stranded, guided by a strange voice on a radio, while the world around you slowly starts to feel off. Gameplay is in first person. You scavenge for materials to craft makeshift weapons, deal with tight inventory space, and constantly weigh whether it's smarter to fight or hold on to your supplies. Enemies are hard to kill, and one mistake can get you killed fast. One interesting part of the game is its origin. It actually started as an award-winning mod for Doom 2 before being rebuilt into a full standalone title. Even with modern visuals, it keeps that classic survival horror tension.
You loved this place once. Every moment you dwell here will lead you closer to inevitability. If you still had a chance to leave, would you take it?
Crisol Theater of Idols is a first-person horror shooter built around one brutal idea. You use your own blood as ammo and health. Every time you reload or fire, you're draining your own life. That means every shot matters, and you're always deciding between staying alive or staying armed. The game takes place on Tormentosa, a cursed island set in a dark, twisted version of Spain filled with religious symbolism and folklore. You play as Gabriel, a soldier caught in what feels like a divine mission gone wrong. What really makes Crisol unique is how resource and health management are intertwined. There's no traditional ammo. You must drain your own blood to reload weapons and heal, and you can only rebuild your vitality by draining blood from fallen creatures or using rare needles. That creates a constant trade-off between survival and offense, making combat feel tense and strategic.
But you know what they say, mi sol. Donde hay amor, hay dolor.
Luto is a psychological horror game that turns grief and loss into the source of its fear. You play as someone who can't leave their own home, and every attempt to escape only pulls you deeper into a distorted reality shaped by anxiety, memories, and emotional trauma. Gameplay focuses on perception and psychological tension. You solve environmental puzzles, follow audio cues, and observe subtle changes in the environment to progress. The house constantly transforms. Looping corridors, altered layouts, and sensory distortions challenge your sense of direction and what is real. The story explores the aftermath of losing a loved one, but it doesn't explain everything directly. Instead, it reveals fragments through environmental clues, sounds, and shifting spaces. Familiar rooms begin to feel wrong, and the house itself seems to reflect the character's mental state. Tormented Souls 2 continues Caroline Walker's story after the first game, when her sister Anna begins suffering violent visions that start bleeding into reality. Searching for answers, Caroline travels to the isolated town of Villa Hesse, where something deeply unsettling awaits. Gameplay stays to classic survival horror design. Inventory space is limited, supplies are scarce, and improvised weapons like nail guns and melee tools must be used carefully. Puzzles demand observation and logical thinking, while enemies are dangerous enough that rushing into combat is rarely the safest choice. The sequel builds on the series' supernatural themes by allowing Caroline to shift between realities. This ability reveals hidden paths, changes environments, and uncovers clues that cannot be seen in the normal world, turning exploration into both a puzzle and a psychological descent.
Be at peace. There must be no violence.
Caroline, I'm scared.
Now stop struggling. You belong to us.
Please.
Reanimal is a dark horror adventure from the creators of Little Nightmares. But this time, the tone is heavier and more disturbing. The story follows a brother and sister returning to a twisted version of the island they once called home, searching for missing friends while confronting grotesque creatures and memories tied to their past. Gameplay blends cinematic platforming, stealth, and environmental puzzles. You guide both siblings through dangerous areas, avoid monstrous threats, and solve obstacles that require timing and coordination. The game also expands how you move between locations, opening up new paths to explore and giving the journey a stronger sense of freedom without losing its tension. Reanimal delivers horror through imagery, vulnerability, and emotional weight rather than constant action.
Set free.
The team has settled on a person of interest. Someone with ties to Umbrella. Victor Gideon.
Grace! Grace!
Welcome. Dr. Gideon has been expecting you.
You there, Leon?
Yeah.
Hey, over here.
FBI. What are you doing here?
Would you like to see what's hidden under the hood?
Don't do anything stupid.
Me? Never.
Resident Evil Requiem just came out a few days ago, and I'm still playing through it right now. This new chapter follows an older Leon S. Kennedy, clearly worn down by years of fighting bioterror threats, as he investigates a case that slowly opens into something far bigger. Alongside him is a new character, Grace Ashcroft, whose perspective adds tension and uncertainty as the story unfolds. The game shifts between the two characters, which helps keep the pacing from feeling stale. Leon's sections feel more controlled and tactical, while Grace's moments lean into vulnerability and classic survival horror pressure. The contrast between them keeps the experience fresh. Ammo and healing items are limited, enemies react aggressively, and tight environments force you to think before engaging. Silent Hill 2 brings one of the most iconic psychological horror stories back with modern visuals and a more immersive presentation. The story follows James Sunderland, who travels to the fog-covered town of Silent Hill after receiving a letter from his wife, even though she died years ago. Combat remains grounded and vulnerable. You're not a trained fighter, and enemies feel disturbing rather than like targets to clear. Limited resources, tight spaces, and unpredictable encounters encourage caution instead of aggression. The remake preserves the slow, psychological pacing that made the original unforgettable, while expanding the environments and encouraging more seamless exploration. Silent Hill feels less like separate areas and more like a connected place you can move through, as the fog, sound, and atmosphere constantly build tension.
I know what you are. I know why I needed you. But it's all over now.